Antwerp for the final of this year's Flanders Open, back for the decider of round 2 of the high-tech Super Series. And what a thriller it's been so far. The semis gave us a taste of elite squash at its very best. Scotland's world #1, Peter Nicol, facing his fellow Scot, John White, while David Palmer and Paul Price battled it out to see who'd carry the Australian flag through to the final. Palmer and Price hadn't met since Price took victory in the final of the Pittsburgh Open late '99. And here again, Price kept the upper hand, winning 3 of 4 games in a 67-minute match to knock out Palmer yet again. But it was the old Scottish White versus Nicol clash that brought the crowd to their feet. White playing the game of his life to dump the world champion in a stunning 4-game, 79-minute match. The biggest upset in squash so far this year. So the giant-killing John White goes on to meet up-and-coming Aussie Paul Price. Not the final many of us were expecting, and a difficult one when it comes to predicting an outcome. But both players are back on a roll after some lean times, so neither will be ready to go down without a fight. Question marks still hang over Price's fitness though. The man Peter Nicol has tipped as the next big thing has lacked a bit of stamina in recent matches, so we'll have to see if he has the legs to match this big occasion here in Antwerp. Progress has been impressive, beating unseeded John Williams in the quarters and Palmer in the semis. So does Price have the measure of John White?
Yeah, definitely. It's been about a year since I've played Whitey now, and the last time was in New York last year. I lost 3-2 to him, so yeah, I'm feeling confident on the court. I'm moving okay, and you know, he's had a tough match tonight and a great win, obviously. So I think both of us are playing quite well. It's going to be a really tough game, but I'm looking forward to it.
Well, that fantastic win over the world champion may have been tough, but it's left John White on a high. He's more or less on home ground here after spending a few years based in the Netherlands, and he won here in the '98 final against Martin Heath. One of the best matches of the tournament so far, his quarterfinal against Lee Beachell was a 5-game thriller, and he's proved he can beat the best by destroying Nicol in the semis. We asked him if he could maintain the pace.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's a great buzz to get to my first Super Series final, and you know, to defeat Peter. It's a greater achievement that I've ever done. It's the first time I've ever played. I've beaten him, and you know, it's great, and I am actually feeling, you know, pretty good for tomorrow.
Well, a big occasion for John White. We asked him for some playing tips on those glass courts.
The tournaments, every Super Series tournament or every tournament we go to, if we play on a glass court, we always use a white ball. It's a lot easier to see than what is for a black ball on a normal court or on a cement back, where we use a black ball. And the advantage of playing on a glass court is if you are a shot player and the court is dead at the back of the court and it is dead at the front of the court, and it does completely change the game if you go into a hard back, a cement court. Whereas you know, you can play one round of the games of the matches in the tournament on a cement court, and you'll see completely different results of different players playing, and it suits certain players. It suits players who are, you know, super fit and they just keep retrieving the ball, where, you know, if you get a shot player on a cement court, it's not that easy to put a ball away because it's so much more bouncy and it's so much more humid. Whereas if you come on a glass court, it does, if you hit a hard, low, killing shot, it gets paid off with it dies a lot quicker, and therefore if you're a shot player and you can make those shots, it's a lot difficult for the retrievers to get the ball back, and you get a lot paid off. And if you do hit a good drive on a normal court, on a cement court, it can tend to keep bouncing off the back wall, so it's a lot easier to get back. Where on this court here, if you're on a glass court, if you hit a decent length, it does die at the back of the court, and it's a lot harder to get the ball out of the back corner, and therefore if it's a lot harder to get out, you're always on the defense and just always retrieving. Whereas on a cement court, if it bounces off the back wall, it can bounce back out into the middle of the court and give you, you know, the advantage again to get back in the rally.
And no doubt John will be hoping the advantage throughout this final in Antwerp will be his. But while the crowd take their places and the tension mounts, let's follow both players as they make their way to one of the biggest games of their lives.
Let's play squash.
Well, that's certainly the plan. Let's go over to the final highlights now with that man, Robert Edwards, and former world number 2, Chris Robertson.
Love all.
Well, all the shouting is over, and we're into this final. Paul Price there with his opponent, John White. And it must be said that really the two informed players are here competing in the final. All week they've impressed us with their squash. And now we will see which one of them will take his first ever Super Series final. John White there in the white shirt. Both players born in Australia. But now John White choosing to play for Scotland, basing himself in Nottingham. And quite a clash in store, Robbo.
Well, so difficult to pick a winner. I suppose it's going to be the person that handles the occasion the best, because there's not a lot in difference in standard. Both players are going to be very motivated, are playing well. But neither of them have won a Super Series event of this magnitude, or any Super Series event for that matter. And it's Johnny White that's come out of the traps and looks pretty comfortable.
Well, he's got a nice start here. 5-love. He's he's rolling. And the crowd almost gone quiet. But both of these players mercurial in their talents. It's John White, who at the moment is proving the most successful, 13-5 up in this first game. And he'll be delighted to take the first one if he can. Certainly, he's running away with it at the moment. Backwall post there from Price. Unbelievable attempted kill from John White. But that stroke puts White on game ball 14-5.
Well, Johnny White's still playing his natural game. Loves to go for that cross-court nick off the bounce, particularly off the back wall boast. Paul Price has really struggled to get into this match, and there's not going to be a lot of rhythm at all from either player, as we can see there.
Handout 6-14, game ball.
Ball on the floor, ball on the nick. It's going to be a bit up and down this match, I think.
I think the two players here, probably more than any that have played in these latter rounds, are able to simply end a rally with that one shot. It's like the knockout punch. They both have it.
Well, we're so used to seeing Peter Nicol play in finals, aren't we, and win the tournaments where there's a lot of consistency and rallies up and down the wall. These two players are going to look for that opportunity off each other to put the ball in the nick and hit the winning shots, and that's good for the people here. It's going to be a lot of exciting squash. Hopefully, Paul Price can pick his game up, and it'll be close.
I think, Robert, we're also looking at two players here who are going to be competing in a lot of finals in the years to come. They're certainly two action-packed players, both blessed with great talents, and if they can harness it and produce whatever the last finishing touches, I think we're looking at two products who can be quite something. But that ball stuck to the wall, and Paul Price is coming back.
Well, this is good for Paul in terms of getting a few points under his belt and a bit of rhythm for the next game. Can't possibly see him winning the game, but Johnny White's allowing him to get back into this. Got to be careful, another point or two, and the nerves start to jangle.
Well, John White still on game ball. I think he's got to go back to his original game plans, which was tighter squash. He can't throw it around, spray it about to the same degree. Not with Paul Price, that's for sure.
Well, he's not listening to you, Rob. He's put reverse ankles in, and
yes.
Yes, led 10-14, game ball.
I think he realises the danger now. A little bit more urgency in his play. Just like you said, he needs to tighten up a little bit. Had control of Paul for 95% of this game, and he's just let it go.
And even if Paul Price doesn't win it, if he doesn't come back, it will have still given him the impetus to go into the second game.
Oh, clearly that's at 14-5, that's all Paul was thinking of. There's no way he had any thoughts of actually winning the game.
Oh, amazing reaction from White. Wrong choice by Price, and John White 15-10. He's taken the first game in this final of the Flanders Open Squash Antwerp 2001.
Well, John White certainly set the pace. We'll be back after the break with the next game and our viewers' competition to win a pair of pro squash shoes. Join us then.
We welcome viewers back for this final. And the story is that Price is back in it. The one-sided first game has gone. He's starting to put his game together, and it's 11-all in the second. And a little nudge from his tall opponent sends Price lurching to the back, and this could be a little bit worrying because he was out last year, most of the year, with a back problem. And I can tell you, John White at speed is a lump to hit you.
Yeah, unintentional though, Robert. I mean, just turned, reaction, tried to get to the ball. Paul was in his way. I'm sure he'll be all right. Again, good, fast and furious rally there. Both players trying to get on the tee and volley, trying to get in early and get the shot. Does seem a little bit hampered at the moment.
A few grimaces there. Both these players, of course, great friends off court.
12-11.
But they both very much want this. They see themselves as two of the contenders for the #1 spot. And John White not ready. Just lets that ball go.
12-11.
And at 12-11, this time he will return the ball.
Oh,
From the back of the court, quite a shot, Robbo.
Drive, trickle, boast. Don't try that at home, but fantastic shot. 12-all to play that at 11-12. He's got a fair bit of confidence going at the moment.
You know, I'm one of the first to say that White needs to sort of get his game on a little bit more rails and a little bit more consistency, but I hope we don't lose all this brilliance, because watching him go for shots, and again Paul Price, it's so exciting.
13-12.
You can see the rallies are really shortening up now. Both players are just looking for that one opportunity, and they're going to back their confidence.
9.
Wow. Johnny White off the serve, cross court, crushes the ball.
The ball's good.
Price says it wasn't up. He thinks it touched the tin.
Well, he complained about a number of these calls in the semi-final. He lost his way, lost his head a little bit. And I suppose at one love down and 13-all, doesn't really want to go 2 love down.
It's locked together now, as you say, 13-all. And John White flicking that ball away.
14-13.
Little rush of blood. Ball comes down the middle of the court, and Price gratefully says, "I'll take the stroke, thank you." And it's given him game ball, and if he takes it, he'll level the score at 1 game all. Lovely to watch John White stroking a ball. Great gift he has. And attempted half volley, misses it. Price levels it. It's 1 game all in this final match. And some well-deserved liquid being taken on there. Johnny White and a little concentration. Rodney Martin there, working with Paul Price. Seems to be stretching the backs of his legs. So 1 game all. 11-8, White just having the edge over Paul Price. And the crowd have really enjoyed this. It's a packed audience in the Johannesburg's wonderful, wonderful setting. 250-year-old building. Wonderful venue for squash. I don't think the property has ever seen anything like this in its life before. Something like 150-foot ceiling.
9-11.
One of the great venues of squash worldwide, when you consider now we play alongside the Pyramid and in New York at the Grand Central Station.
No net, 10-11.
Wonderful, wonderful venues. This game's bringing excitement to the world.
And Johnny White's just lost the control he's worked so hard for in this game, Robert. 11-8 up. Looked in pretty much control of this
10-11.
third game. A little bit of lack of concentration, possibly. A couple of loose shots. It's 10-11 again.
Well, from the total domination of the first game by John White, Paul Price has chipped away until he's now edging it out. And if he takes this game, it will be 2-1 ahead that he'll lead.
I just get the feeling that Johnny has not had the same patience or consistency he did have against Peter Nicol. I think Paul Price's attacking game has made him maybe attack a little bit too much at times. The one thing I would say is Paul Price does play the big points very, very well. He won the last game at 13-all, 15-13, and he's got himself in the frame again.
And Paul Price has by far had the easier route to this final, so energy level should be really up. He's only dropped 2 games all the way through. And John White has really had a couple of classics, including the semi-final against the world's #1 Peter Nicol. But that a pleasure to watch.
Oh, I think you saved your breath there, Paul. Not much chance of a let there. His body language gave it away as well. More than hope than good judgment.
And we know we're into a battle now. We're going to see a mixture of skills here. I think we're going to see the pace being broken up. Short rallies, certainly the order of the day, Robbo.
Well, they are. They're not getting many over 5 or 6 or 7 shots in there. Johnny White just reading the cross-court ball. Price played it straight and a bit of a rarity. One with the length ball. You don't see too many of these players winning with length balls. A lot of short drops and kills.
Yes, lad. 12-all.
It's obviously to be expected. Both players, this is the biggest match of their lives. Again, anytime you play in a Super Series final, it's the biggest match of your life because you could win a Super Series event.
It's not just the money, it's also the points that gives them the world rankings on the PSA Tour. Although I've never seen any of them say no to the money yet.
Again, Paul Price looking for that kill at the back on the forehand. You know Johnny White likes to play it. Both players have to be so alert when the ball goes behind them. Quite often you believe that you're going to be safe with a length ball. All call from the referee.
Well, it was a quick call. The players can't complain at that. They've always say, call it quick.
And Johnny White didn't complain, so he must have seen it as well.
And that's given Price the edge here, 13-12. I wish no harm to the top players, the Jonathan Powers and the Peter Nichols, but it is good to see these new talents emerging. They add a new dimension to the game.
Well, it's especially good because these two players could quite easily play in the quarterfinals of tournaments and don't ever get a chance to make the finals. So clearly there's an improvement in their play and they're moving up, and the more they play in these finals, I think the better quality they'll produce later on.
I also think, Robert, we're in a transitionary period. I think there's a change afoot. There's new, young talents, new bloods, new beliefs coming out. And I think we're going to start seeing more new faces at this level. Most of the seeds have already been knocked out of this tournament and the last couple as well. So it's not just a trend. I think it's a change. We're living in a new era.
And again, better work from both players there, trying to play it up and down the backhand wall. A little bit of length, a little bit of patience is what's needed. As I like to say, business end of the game, 13-12. Just need to put the next couple of points together well.
Who shall complain first? Both players trying to control the referee there immediately. The looks say it all, the body language. But it stays Price serving 13-12.
I think it's about the third time the point's been replayed. We both appreciate how important it is.
This is a big point and a major part of the match. Both players extending down this backhand wall.
Again, the Scottish guy, Johnny White, injects a bit more pace into the game than Paul Price. Paul Price just likes to chip it down the backhand wall and look for the opening. Johnny likes to put the power in, as we see there on the forehand volley. Both players working hard across the middle to maintain a good central position.
Now you're going to get a complaint here. Price really feels he was on it.
That ball bounced out of mile, hit the nick and come straight out. Did you see the ball?
Well, I think the referee's got a point here. Paul Price was caught a little bit on his heels, didn't make a great effort. He's shaking his head. It's not Johnny White's fault as far as I can work out.
13 all.
But he's got to make more of an effort to get around and to make an effort to get through to play the ball.
The two international referees have done a great job here all week. It's Jack Allen, the world referee from Ireland, and Roy Gingell from Wales. Not a place I'd want to sit in any auditorium. The hardest place of all, and they've been consistently good. And that's Price sitting on a game ball at 14-13, and if he takes it, he will have clawed his way back from being really blown away in the first to 2-1 up. Now can White take this point and level the scores? He can't. It's Price 2-1 up. Now we're going to look at the new John White. We'll see just what he's made of. Has he got the steel, the temper to come back? 2-1 down in this final against Paul Price.
And we'll be back to see if John White can pull the match back after the break. Time now, though, for our viewers' competition and your chance to win a pair of high-tech Adrenaline Pro squash shoes if you can answer this simple question. Name the semi-finalist who was born in Alligator Creek. Is it John White, Paul Price or David Palmer? Send your answers by mail to High Tech Super Series Competition, 82 Cathedral Road, Cardiff, UK, or enter via the website at superseries.co.uk. Welcome back to Belgium and the Flanders Open squash final. We're back to the fourth game with commentators Robert Edwards and Chris Robertson.
2-4.
At 2-4, John White will be looking for the inspiration to bring him back into this. He was controlling it so easily in the first game, and then it got away from him over the next two, and that cross-court.
And that's why it gets away,
That's
Rob.
the old John White, isn't it, Robbo?
Well, the patience is not as good as his semi-final victory over the world #1, Peter Nicol. I mean, he really is seeing the shots a little bit too soon. He's not earning the position. He's relying on a lot of skill and talent, and it's not easy to produce that in your maiden final. And to be fair to Paul Price, he really did get thumped in that first game, and he's come back out. He's won the next two,
Yes, from the right, please.
15-13, and he's 5-2 up.
And when I look at Paul Price, I also wonder, you know, this is a fella who's been more or less out of the game for most of the year, comes back, and although his fitness levels by normal human being standards are high, by the level he plays this game, possibly a kilo could be lost around the middle. When you think of this man, when he's at his fittest, what he's going to be able to achieve with a run in this is quite awesome. He could become your next Australian Ditmore or Rodney Martin, or even a Jeff Hunt, or maybe even a Chris Robertson.
Well, not if he keeps putting drops in the tin like that.
No, you're right.
You can't. But I mean, I understand what you're saying. His fitness levels are improving.
Well, John White asking for permission to leave the court. His grip is coming away. He shows it to his opponent. Very gentlemanly, this.
Well, we just saw a rally there, which highlighted Johnny White's problem from my perspective. The rallies around the middle, he was able to hit the ball straight onto Paul Price's racket a number of times when he was trying to get it wide and straight.
3-5.
And if you give Paul Price the middle of the court, you really are giving him the chance to knock you off. And Johnny White wasn't doing that with Peter Nicol. He really was finding the corners quite well. He was moving him up and down the line, and he was opening up his angles. Not doing that at the moment.
And at 3-5, John White serving. It also asks the question, or begs the question, how much has John White got left in those tanks? We know he's doing this new crusade, this new fitness regime, but he's had some tough matches. He's spent a lot of time on court this week, and here he is. He's involved in another battle. And there's the old saying, Robbo, it's not just a question of being good enough to win, it's whether you've got the courage to go out and win, and this is really his big moment.
Well, he's had a much tougher run than Paul Price in this event. Paul Price benefiting from John Power pulling out due to injury from New York. Not that Paul Price is not capable of beating John Power, of course he is, but
gave him an easier route for sure.
And here he's just got control now, Johnny White. Frustration there, knocking the ball away.
7-3.
And he's frustrated because
From the left,
he knows he's playing good enough squash. To beat Peter Nicol in a semi-final, obviously you've got to feel confident about beating Paul Price in the final, but he's not able to produce that, and at this stage, looks like runners-up is going to be his final result.
And I think we're here in a very crucial stage in the match. John White has got to start to produce the goods again. He's got to get himself back on track, get his game on the rails, some depth, some width, and some patience.
That's a little bit better. I mean, again,
Yes, lad.
but that was a better rally. You know, he squeezed the ball to the deep backhand corner, got a loose ball, maybe a stroke. But he puts more rallies together like that, he will have more opportunities.
So much about construction. Construct the point, and that's what will produce the winner.
Well, the problem is if you don't construct it, Robert, you have to hit a winning shot from a difficult position, and clearly these players can do that, but can they do it continually?
Well,
And that's the inconsistencies, and maybe that's why they haven't been in the finals as many times as Peter Nicol and John Powers can be in the finals.
get the feeling both players are starting to play well here together.
This is better from both players, yeah, some volley drops, some lobs, some full court work. But again, followed in by a couple of crashing mid-court drives.
There's a little collision there by the two players, and immediately Paul Price puts his hand out to apologise. It was an accident.
Out, 4-7.
And there we saw a forehand drop shot from John White, the type of shot he was playing against Peter Nicol quite a bit. Soft, very tight. And that mixed with power and depth can really be, well, almost impossible to deal with. Again, we see another drop.
5-7.
And that's a little bit more like the type of squash he was producing. And again, that's an area that Paul Price can struggle in sometimes, full extension. He does like the ball coming onto the racket across the middle of the court. So if you can get the ball up the front corners.
Out, 6-7.
Well, these are good moments for John White, and he's waking the crowd up.
They are a little bit muted. I think hasn't been as many rallies as possibly they would be used to in previous finals.
It's all machine gun
And
stuff.
out, 8-6.
Bang, bang, and then for the nick. Short rallies, quick winners. But Price now in 8-6. And if he can squeeze this game, he'll take with it the title, his first Super Series one. Very ambitious player, Paul Price. Has a lovely singing voice and entertains us regally occasionally at tournaments. Writes his own songs as well.
And out, 7-8.
The guitarist, but the weapon by which he earns his living is the one in his hand now.
Johnny White was very happy to see that boast go in the tin. Slipped over. Wouldn't have got it if it got up. Holds him in on this fourth game.
Hits the ball beautifully. Johnny White times it, but as does his opponent, in fairness.
Well, in terms of ball striking, these two would probably be in the top 2 or 3 in the world.
Yes.
In terms of clean hitting.
And that's natural talent, Robbo.
Oh, I don't think there's too much coaching gone on with the quality of striking.
No left, 8-all.
Now, John White's back. It's 8-all. The man from Alligator Creek, now based in Nottingham.
Yeah, another reaction shot there from Paul Price. That's the type of reaction the opponent wants to see. He wants to see frustration. He wants to see people going for shots off the serve and hitting them in the tin.
And the crowd, although Paul Price is a popular man, I'm sure would love to see this go the distance. And if White takes this game, it'll go to 5, and that's what they'll want, to extend the viewing of this final match.
I don't know about you, Robert, but both these players look quite tired to me. I mean, they're really not attempting to rally too much. I know they're very attacking and aggressive, but they're taking a long time between points. The movement.
Price chipped that one in.
And out, 10-9.
Just missed it, and John White 10-9. The perfect time to take the lead into double figures. If he can build on this now, take it into a 5th. And they always say that the 5th in itself is a match, and the fifth in a Super Series final must be a match and a half, and that's 11-9, a white special.
That was a white special. A little bit too much height off the back wall there from Price, and so dangerous from behind. Both these players are. Price trying to get it the equal on the forehand side, but Johnny just getting the racket underneath. And again, too much through the middle from both players. Look how short that is. That's how come the ball can be hit again so quickly, because it's available. They don't have to move to it.
Well, this is one of the longer rallies, and then White, well, admonishes himself with a slap across the leg. He knows that was a bad miss. Price is back.
It was the right shot, Robert. He just played it quite poorly. Looks quite nervous type of shot as well.
Out. Hand out, 12-10.
Exciting moments. John White 12-10 up. 3 points to take this to 5. Price has got White all over the shop, and the ball is still live, but now it's down, and that floor will need wiping.
Well, that was an honest call there from Johnny.
He hadn't got it up.
He thought about it. I think he realised he wasn't probably going to get the next one anyway.
Still 1 point separating them, and that attempted straight drop off the serve is in the middle of the tin, and it's 12 all. A weak response by White.
He's got to be preying on his mind as well, Robert. He's lost the last 2 games, 15-13, 15-13. He has not played the back end of the games very well at all. He's now found himself in another 12-all situation, so test the character.
Well, this is when you find out stories about yourself that you can't find out in practice.
Yes, lad.
Well,
12 all.
I tell you what,
From the left.
I think he's a lucky guy to get a let there. He went the wrong way. Paul Price is right. He did create his own interference, and the ball didn't actually look like it was in direct line from Paul Price.
You mentioned a let, Robbo. Just briefly for our viewers, a let situation?
Well, a let situation will be a situation where the referee feels you've been impeded, and that you were not going to play a winning shot from it, but you were impeded from competing in the rally, maintaining the rally, so the rally must be replayed and try your luck again. A stroke will be a situation where you stop from playing a winning shot, and no let would be a situation where you wouldn't have got the ball back. So really it's just a replay of the point, collision between the two players, line of sight, racket interference, a number of different reasons, but it's just a replay of the point.
Well, we all know now. Next for the opinion. And that's 14-12 now. John White.
14-12, game ball.
His wife Susie, his 2 children are here. They are desperate for this man to do well, very ambitious. And this is a major moment in his career. And it's Paul Price who finds the nick on the right-hand side with a magical shot.
It doesn't look like Paul's too concerned. He's got his wife and 2 kids over. He's just put that forehand away. And they really are fearless, these 2 players. I mean, back in my time, which is a few years ago now, the players wouldn't necessarily play those shots at those times because we wouldn't necessarily have the guts to do it. But these 2 players and the new breed you talk about, they really do take it to a new level.
Oh, how big is this court at the moment for these 2 players? They're finding every inch of it and recovering. Fabulous, fabulous point, a big point, and some terrific squash. And it's finally John White who puts it away, and Paul Price throws away his racket in disgust at himself. But it's 2-all. We're in the big 5th in this final.
Well, on now, as Robert says, to the big 5th game. John White gathering his thoughts there, and Paul Price looking to his trainer for some inspiration. We'll be back for the decider after the break, but until then, answer this question to win a pair of pro squash shoes. Name the semi-finalist who was born in Alligator Creek. Is it John White, Paul Price, or David Palmer? Entry details later in the programme. Welcome back to the Flanders Open, where it's reached a nail-biting climax. Let's go to the 5th and final game now with commentators Robert Edwards and Chris Robertson.
These 2 players have excited the audiences all week long. And now they find themselves not just in this final, but in the final game of the final, and that in itself can be a match, Robbo.
Well, it's has swung back to Johnny White now, I think, because of psychologically
Yes, lad.
getting that fourth game and getting back into it. Physically, I'm not quite sure where it's going, but with these two players and the way they play, got a feeling it's going to be a few ups and downs in this fifth game.
Well, certainly the joint tournament directors, Luke Mattens and Robert DeCant, should be pleased with this. Them and their A-team have put on a great tournament, and they deserve a good final to finish it. The venue has been sensational. Johannesburg is a new venue, and we look forward to coming back here for sure. And Antwerp, well, it's a privilege always to be in the diamond capital of Europe. Lovely, lovely city.
Just interesting to note, sorry Robert, to note the fifth game has started like the other four. Couple of winners, couple of errors, no rallies of any particular length, but lots of innovative and exciting squash shots being produced.
You get the feeling that the first one of these two players who constructs a pattern to his play, who controls it,
Stroke to White.
puts in some sensible lengths, etc., is going to take this fifth game. But it's pretty well everywhere at the moment. The ball is going in all directions.
Yeah, frustration then for Price. Not really warranted. Was a stroke. Didn't get out of the way. Type of sign that Johnny's looking for, but that's the type of length that both players are looking for, or should be looking for, I should say. Does apologise because he caught the side of the nick, but it was good width. Good angle into the corner.
Yes, lad. 2-all.
Crashing forehand volley there. Really does get down on the ball very well. Creates the angle into the front wall.
Yes, lad. 2-all.
Another let.
And again, just a bit of interference there. Just put him off his preparation for his shot. Didn't stop him from the winning position, so the referee will just play it again. Can get a little bit tedious sometimes, but unfortunately it's a necessary part of our game. It's small, confined, and two guys running around trying to kill the ball is going to happen.
I can tell you now, Robbo, the players aren't aware of it, but I've just been handed a slip of paper. There's a gentleman from the Belgian Sports Council has arrived at the venue and will be doing a random drug test on both the players. Good for the sport, obviously, but the two players won't be too happy. The one who's won will want to celebrate, and sometimes a little difficult to produce any form of water. They'll be dehydrated after this.
Well, they certainly will, but that was a good point there from the naturalised Scotsman.
4-3.
Got on the ball quickly, played a quick counter drop. He's followed up
No let. 4-3.
with a good volley drop. I just sense a shift in attitude here from Paul Price. He looks a little bit frustrated.
John White's starting to look focused.
And in contrast, like you stated there,
Down.
does look a bit more focused, but good reply there from the Victorian. Good counter drop. And as I said at the start of this fifth game, pretty sure it was going to go up and down. It certainly has already.
And the pace the two players are playing at, they're going for so many shots. The games can end quickly. This isn't your attritional game of the mighty Jansha or the Peter Nichols, or even yourself, Robbo, where you could be on court for best part of 2 hours.
5-4.
These guys are simply going for anything that's out there to be hit, and it's quick rat-a-tat stuff.
Well, they back their skill level and their talent and their nerve in these type of matches. They're both not going to back off. And to be fair, it's been successful to get them to the final, so why should they divert from that? But I just feel that they've lost a little bit of their length, both of them, en route to this final. They achieved some good length, some good purpose.
Oh, that's a terrific volley there by John White. Stepped up on it, chipped it short. And that's 6-5 to John White in this final game of the Flanders Open Squash Antwerp 2001.
He does look the fresher. He's on his toes on the tee. Paul Price a little bit more static in his movement anyway. Near the error. Little gap opening up possibly. And this is the point now where at break a 2, Johnny White would be looking to take that to 4, 3 or 4.
Yes, lad. 7-5.
Well, 7-5, John White. I spoke to both players this morning and they both conveyed the same message quite clearly, that they really do believe they're going to be world top 3 players very soon. They have the game and the desire, and they think the openings are there, and who can doubt it? Certainly on the showing of this week, they've taken on all comers, and here they are competing for both of them in their first Super Series PSA final.
Point back to Paul Price there. Weak volley from Johnny White there, Robert. He's at full stretch, tried to play it short again, made a mistake, but then Paul Price gives it straight back.
It's been a match of errors as well as touches of brilliance.
Well, this 5th game has not been the quality that we've seen in some of the other games.
Stroke to White.
That's
9-6.
probably because it is the 5th game, I suppose.
Well, it's very tamely gone John White's way. 9-6. He's taken a 3-point lead, and
Stroke to White,
another
10-6.
stroke. Now that will really infuriate Paul Price. 10-6. 4 points at this level. That's a big gap.
Oh, gives it straight back.
If you can make a mistake, so can I, says White. He won't be happy with that.
Well, that was the point I was trying to make. There's a time to go for a shot, and sometimes there's a time just to keep the ball up and let your opponent put it in the tin. I suppose it's a little bit easy saying that up here.
That's a great drop there by White. Yeah, John White picks up the point, 11-7. And he's starting to look like he could be raising the trophy this week.
Well, I think it'd be fully deserved if Johnny White comes through, only because anybody that can defeat Peter Nicol, world #1 dominant player, probably deserves. When that racket has come free of the hand.
Well, they're a warning for throwing his racket away. Not a word comes back from Paul Price, but he knows. I think there's been 4 or 5 strokes against him in this game, and that's really giving things away. But as you say, Robbo, John White, if he does win this, will deserve it. He's put in a great week's work, but I just look into the future, my crystal ball, and I see both of these guys in a lot of finals. And I think that's good for squash, because they're 2 smashing blokes and they're 2 terrific players. And that's match ball. John White, can he take it at the first time of asking? He's in the position, and surely now he's going to put that away. The 2 hands go up, and the crowd rise to their feet. We have a new champion, and his name is John White. Remember that name. This man has a future, as does his opponent, Paul Price. Not a classic, but a good final for both players.
Onze medewerkers gaan nu alles opstellen voor de prijsuitreiking, die binnen 2-tal minuutjes zal gebeuren. Dank u. Dus graag nog even op uw plaats blijven zitten.
At the start of the first, I was just blown away. You know, Whitey just played far too good. He just went for everything and it come off. You know, it wasn't that I played bad squash. It was just that, you know, he just hit everything into the nick. And the second game started slowly again, and but then just sort of found my rhythm, I think, and sort of gave John less angles to work with, and played a bit, you know, a few more shots myself, and did play a lot better, and yeah, just sort of slowed down in the end and couldn't keep up with it.
Very pleased that you know, it's just, you know, it is a dream to come true. You know, you always, you know, I'm always sitting here in the finals of other, you know, the British Opens and other Super Series events. You know, watching the final and sort of thinking, you know, this could be me one day. Then all of a sudden, you know, here I am, and I am actually lost for words, but it's just a great feeling, especially to have the wife and 2 kids here to witness my first ever Super Series victory, and hopefully I'm sure there is going to be a few more to come.
Well, based on his form here in Belgium, it's highly likely we'll be seeing a lot more of John White in the next few months. He lost to Nicol in the 2nd round in New York, but his win here pushes him way up to 2nd place behind the world #1 in the Super Series rankings. Paul Price has put in some hard work both here and in New York, where he reached the semis, and it's reflected with a solid 3rd place. Well, both Jonathan Parr and British Open champion David Evans are some way adrift in 3rd and 4th, but we'll hear more from them almost certainly. We'll be back with all the highlights from round 3 in our next programme. But meanwhile, don't forget our viewers' competition. The first 6 correct answers out of the bag after the closing date win a pair of pro squash shoes. Name the semi-finalist who was born in Alligator Creek. Is it John White, Paul Price or David Palmer? Send your answers to High Tech Super Series Competition, 82 Cathedral Road, Cardiff, UK, or enter via the website at www.superseries.co.uk. Good luck!